Hello and welcome to Skype Academy Presents Call Queues. I'm Cornel Bullens. I'm a Senior Program Manager in the Customer Experience and Deployment team. So let's talk about our key learnings for today. So the call queues are for Skype for Business Online only. We use them to distribute a large amount of calls. The call queue agents need to have a Cloud PBX license. A call queue can be a routing target for auto attendance, or they can be dialed directly. A call queue can help you assign calls to the right group of people, and a call queue agent can be a user homed in Skype Business Online, licensed for Cloud PBX. They don't need to have PSTN calling, and we will release additional scenarios moving forward. So the agenda. Little introduction to call queues, then we'll talk about the prerequisites, then how to deploy them, then how to operate them. This is a point of time view, and this session was recorded in August 2017. Office 365 is constantly going through innovation. This means that we innovate on a constant basis. We actually had a lot of updates from July, and we've marked them bright blue with the updated button. If you've gone through the training before, if you have some experience with call queues, please pay special attention to the blue updated portions because those are new to you. So what's a call queue? They're an automated call distribution for incoming calls. That's basically what a call queue is. They're often used together with auto attendants. So an auto attendant picks up the phone, tells you, hey, for sales press 1, for service press 2, and then you get transferred to a queue. In the queue, you wait until one of the agents is available. They can have custom corporate greetings, music on hold. They accept up to 200 calls per instance, and they queue calls to be serviced using the first in, first out principle. You can assign up to 50 agents to any call queue. You can configure the max queue size, max allowed times, and you can do an overflow timeout and send them to a different queue, auto attendant, voicemail, or directly to a user. So quick comparison to the online call queues and the Skype Business Hunt groups that you might know. So while the on-prem version does have text-to-speech and speech-to-text, doesn't really have a limit on concurrent incoming calls and has a wide variety of routing options. For the online call queues, we really go up to 50 users, no text-to-speech or speech-to-text. There is a custom greeting and there is a music on hold. You could do up to 200 concurrent calls, and we do attendant routing. Which means that no matter your status, you will basically see your phone ringing unless you're on Do Not Disturb or offline. The agent participation is also informal. This means that once you are assigned to a queue, you are a member of a queue. You can't sign in or out of a queue, something that is possible with the on-prem version. So we really worked to an essential version of the call queue groups for our online offering. So what's the caller experience? So basically you come in, there is no default greeting by default, but you can have something like, hey, welcome to Contoso. We're connecting you to the next available agent. The caller is then connected to an agent based on that agent's availability. When the queue has reached the maximum concurrent calls or a timeout, you can say, hey, connect to a different queue or an auto tenant, and that's called overflow. The call can be disconnected, can be forwarded to a different agent, or can be sent to an agent's voicemail. So from a callee, that means me making the calls or receiving the calls. I will see the call information. My toast will actually show the call queue name and the caller's ID. I can choose to pick up or not. If it's picked up, then it's connected with the caller after connection is complete. If it's ignored, then we will not generate a missed call notification and the next incoming call will be displayed. With the latest updates, any calls placed by the agents can actually have the call queue caller ID. So the know before you goes, if you want an optional greeting, you must record and upload it. If you have music on hold, make sure it's copyright free or at least licensed in such a way that you won't get in trouble with authorities. The service numbers must be available. Service numbers can handle a large amount of calls. They can be requested in a similar manner as user numbers. The service numbers can be toll-based or toll-free. Toll-free basically means that the person calling the company doesn't have to pay. The company's paying, and when it's toll, the person calling the company has to pay for it themselves. With the company, that's, well, in this case, if you're following this training, you. The info behind the assignment of numbers and service numbers and more about toll-free, because it does require consumption billing, can be found at the link below. So we use the tenant routing method. What does that mean? It means that as soon as a call comes in, all agents see, hey, there's an incoming call. If you're already in a call, you still get a new call notification. And only if an agent is offline or on Do Not Disturb, you will not be offered a call. You can have calls on hold, and you can actually have multiple calls on hold. So prerequisites. So an agent group can be a distribution list or a mail-labeled security group. Can be online or synced, and we do support nested distribution lists. However, it needs to be synchronized from the Azure Active Directory to the Azure Address Book service, which can take up to 4 to 6 hours. And the DLs need to be in the Azure Address Book service before the call queue can use them. You can use find-cs group to verify if the group's actually there, and we update the distribution list membership every 30 minutes. So people who get calls distributed from a call queue, an agent. So who can be an agent? Online Skype for business users with a Cloud PBX license. There's no PSTN calling license required, and there's no PSTN number required. Starting this July, we not only support the Windows client, we also support the Mac client, the iPhone or iPad client, or Android. If you're an on-premise Skype for business user, or if you have Cloud PBX with on-prem PSTN connectivity via the existing pool of CCE, or if you want a direct external PSTN number to be a call agent, that's unfortunately not possible. So the greeting for a call queue is optional. A pre-recorded greeting can be uploaded. There's no text to speech, so you can use MP3, WMA, or WAV. Maximum file size is 5 Mbit. You can use music on hold or just a ringback tone while people are waiting. You can use custom music on hold or the default, MP3, WMA, or WAV. Maximum size is 5 Mbit. And please make sure that the music is either properly licensed or copyright free. Realize that you must train your agents. It isn't enough to just tell them, hey, you're an agent now. They must know how to be part of this group, because when they're online, calls will be offered to them. There's no option to sign in or out of agent groups. So this does mean they do need to understand how this works. Their behavior affects call routing. If I set myself to Do Not Disturb or forget to sign in, you will no longer get calls. Sometimes people trigger this status by accident. This is why this training is very important. So how to deploy the call queues? First, you create an agent group. That's a security distribution group, and you add the agents you want part of this group. Then you create a service number. You can find how to create them and the logic behind it at aka.ms/sa-orka-sn. You create a greeting if you want to. You have to determine the limit. So how long you want people waiting? What's the maximum concurrent calls you should expect? Then you should think of your overflow option. So once the limit is reached, should they route to a different queue, a person, an auto attendant, or should we just drop the call? Now, how do you configure it? You open your Skype Business Online Admin Center, you go to call routing, call queues, and you do an add new. You put in the name, your phone number, which is the service number. So if you haven't requested the service number yet, you cannot create the call queue. Set your domain, which is your subdomain. You can upload your greeting if you want to, and set the music on hold. At that point, you can set the maximum calls in the queue. You can say what should happen when the maximum calls are reached. You set your waiting time and also what should happen once the waiting time is done. You click save and you're done. You now have a working call queue. Sometimes agents that are part of our call queue, when they dial out, that number need to be suppressed. So when people ring back, they reach the queue directly and not the agent. If you want this enabled, it must be configured for each queue or other tenant, and you can do that with the following PowerShell. So in PowerShell, you can also configure this. I'll leave the slide in here so you can create these new groups. And a PowerShell example is listed right here, how to create, configure, remove, and view the call queue. How do we operate call queues? So in the Skype Business Admin Center, you open call routing and you can select your call queue. You can edit it directly from there. If you want to do any testing, you can press the test button and a call is placed to the PSTN number of the call queue so you can find out whether or not the queue is working correctly. If you have any issues, some unexpected behavior, you should always reach out to the Office 365 Support Center and open a support ticket. This is a managed service and they'll be able to help you out. So how do we migrate the call queues? First, we need to inventory the existing call queues. Does the online version offer you what you need? Can you change the way you work with this or should you wait? At that point, you can port your numbers over and assign them to call queues. The number porting process can take a while and there will be some downtime involved. If you want to stage the groups and get them prepared for the assignment of the numbers, you can get temporary service numbers, assign them, and create and test your groups with the temporary number. So a summary. What did we learn? This is for Skype Business Online only. The call queues are used to distribute a large amount of calls. Call queue agents need a Cloud PBX license. Call queues can be a routing target for auto attendance. Call queues help you assign calls to the right group of people. And call queue agents can be users home to Skype Business Online with a Cloud PBX license. They do not need to be licensed for PSTN calling, and additional scenarios will be released post general availability. All the resources you need can be found here. And note the latest update on call queues and auto attendant is found at that aka.ms URL. It talks about the changes we highlighted in today's presentation. You can find the SOF community at aka.ms/SOF community, where me and many of my colleagues will be there to answer your questions and help you out. On the SOF blog, you can find the latest training releases. With that, I hope this was helpful and I hope you enjoyed this training and the next.